5%.
What's up, disciplined investor?
We got Benzinga CEO Jason Raznick here with us.
The man, the myth, the legend, Tom Nash.
Peter Schiff on the Power Hour with us live today. Interesting, different, unique, innovative companies. Mia, you are live with us on the Power Hour. What's up?
Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Jessica Billingsley, that is the CEO of Akerna, the best trade idea resource out there.
Oh, hello there. That's right. It's me, Spencer Israel, Luke Jacoby's better-looking twin. I know if you're used to watching this show, you're probably like, wait a minute, that's not Luke. Or maybe you thought, oh, wow, Luke is looking really good today. Both those things are sort of true. So I'm Spencer Israel. I am the host of, one of the hosts of Pre-Market Prep and 10,000 other things here at Benzinga, doing a special edition of the Power Hour today. We are doing an OTC Markets special. We've got 5 interviews lined up, executives from companies that trade on OTC markets. We're going to explain first what that even is, right? Why you should care, and then we'll get to our interviews. So we got a big slate of guests on today. Wow, it just everywhere. Bruce Linton is our first guest. He is on the board of Red Light Holland. He'll be on in like 5 minutes or so. Ticker TRUFF. That'll be 12:10. We've got Frank Holmes from Hive Blockchain on at 12:30. We've got Jay Hutton from VSBLTY at 1 o'clock. Mark Peiken from Bespoke Partners, and they just completed a reverse merger. He'll be on at 1:20, and wrapping us up here will be Brian Goodman from Golden Matrix Group at 1:40. So, guys, if you haven't already, smash the like for OTC markets, smash the like for stocks that trade on OTC markets, and smash the like for executive interviews because we got a lot of them today. So, before I bring Bruce on, just some real quick education about what are OTC markets, right? What is it? People talk about NYSE, talk about the NASDAQ. Those are exchanges. OTC markets is a little bit different. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen for a second and just do some very quick education. When we say OTC markets, what are we talking about? We're talking about securities that don't trade on an exchange in the US. So think about it like this. You're a public company and you want investors to get access to your shares. How do you do that? Well, you can go to an exchange, you can list on an exchange, or you can go to OTC markets. And the entire point of OTC markets, the underlying philosophy is that any company that wants should have their shares be available to publicly trade. And so the barrier to trade on OTC markets is a lot lower from a company point of view than it would be to get on an exchange, right? There's lower costs. You don't have to meet as many regulatory requirements. And so it's basically a place for any company for one reason or another does not want to be or can't be on an exchange. So why would a company want to do that? Why would a company not want to be on one of the exchanges like NASDAQ or NYSE or whatever? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, maybe they can't, right? Maybe very simply, maybe they just don't meet the requirements of the exchange. That's why a lot of stocks get kicked off exchanges. Number 2, they just don't want to. So maybe you get a company that's based on another continent, in another country. They already list on their home exchange, and they're like, well, we don't want to go through all that hurdle of listing in the United States. We'll just throw our security, throw our shares on OTC markets. That way, U.S. investors can trade us. But we're not duplicating our efforts there. It's just not a priority for us. So you get a lot of international companies. You get a lot of early stage companies that literally just can't. They're too early. They're too young. They can't meet the requirements yet. So they trade on OTC markets, maybe as like a stepping stone. And you get companies that for legal reasons can't. Like cannabis, for example, is a great example. Cannabis is still illegal on the federal level in the U.S. And so any company that touches the plant in the U.S. is ineligible to trade on exchanges. Now, that's going to change eventually. But for now, any U.S. company that touches cannabis has to, if they want to trade publicly, they have to trade on OTC markets in the United States. So what OTC markets has done is they've broken their market up into different tiers, right? So I've got it up here. the QX tier is like their top tier. And essentially all it means is it's a way for the investor to know, okay, there's like some requirements for this tier versus not many requirements for this other tier, right? So QX is like their top tier. That's like their most stringent tier. Not every company is eligible to trade on QX, right? You have to meet certain requirements. You have to be up to date in your information. You have to be up to date in your disclosures. And you can't be a shell company. There are rules for trading on the OTC QX market. Same thing with the QB. There are a little bit fewer rules, but there still are some rules. It's less stringent than the QX market. And then below the QB, you have your pink market, which is where any company can trade. And there are some other markets below that, but most investors don't have access to those anyway. The pink market is where companies that declare bankruptcy and get kicked off an exchange, that's where they go, right? So JCPenney is there, Hertz is there. Also, a lot of companies that are huge international conglomerates trade on the pink market, right? Nintendo trades on the pink market. Tencent trades on the pink market. Volkswagen trades on the pink. A lot of big international companies that, again, list on their home exchange and just don't really care enough to list on an exchange in the US. So that's the breakdown. You got the QX, you got the QB, and you got the pink. And then as far as investing in these companies and trading them, the only thing you need to know, obviously, you got to do your own research here. There's no guarantee that any security, any asset is going to go up or down, whether it's on an exchange or not. But there are, like I said, less regulations on OTC markets. So you really got to do your DD, do your research, and make sure you know what you're buying. It can be a great place to find undervalued companies, but it can also be a place where some fraud happens. So just really be careful there. Also, on the commissions front, just know that a lot of brokers do charge commissions. They don't have free trading for securities on OTC markets. So understand that as well. If you're trading OTC companies, know that you might have to pay commission, and you can't trade after hours and pre-market. There is no after hours and pre-market session for the OTC market. So just know that going in. Okay, I think that was the basic education, and I'll get to more of it like as the show goes on here, because there's a lot more to discuss on the OTC markets front. And I think I have a pretty good understanding of it. So if any questions from chat, drop them in there, and I will try to I'll try to answer them. But it is time for our first guest. So producer AB, let's bring him on if we can. Bruce Linton is on the board of Red Light Holland Corp, ticker TRUFF, trades on the pink market. Bruce, thanks for joining us today.
Nice intro, man. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I'm not in my usual setup. I feel like a stranger in a strange land because I'm not usually at this desk and under these hot lights. So I'm feeling, like I'm trying really hard because I'm in like a stranger's setup. But I appreciate that comment. Bruce, let's talk about the space that Red Light is in, right?
Yeah.
Psychedelics. I just gave through a brief overview of the OTC markets, and I didn't even mention the fact that companies can uplist right from the OTC markets to an exchange. We just saw that happen this week with one of your peers, company in this space, MindMed. So maybe you can give us a high level overview first of what is happening in the psychedelic space right now, and guess why you're involved.
Sure. So I wrote two things down, plus I'll hit that. So with Red Light, we're trading on the pink, right? Because I'm not sure they're ready to welcome us for an upgrade. They might be. So we think that we should be. Now, part of what I would argue that what we currently do is federally permissible. Everywhere where we operate is not in conflict with the U.S. law because we do not operate in the U.S. We have a licensing agreement. So maybe a company like TRIP or TRUFF could actually say, I want to take the path of MindMed. That might be constraining for TRIP, though, because there's such a good market opening up in the U.S. and maybe we'd want to play directly in it. And you don't want to get unlisted from, say, a NASDAQ because you want to step into a new business. So in the case of MindMed, what they had to do, and the rules are fairly similar. If you start trading on a Canadian exchange and then you want to cross list to US big board, call it NASDAQ, you have to trade for 1 year plus a day. You have to have a share price north of $2, and you have to have more than 50.1% of the ownership, which is non-US resident. Doesn't have to be Canadian. And if you have that, you have this exemption to cross list called the foreign direct listing exemption, which means the exchanges are sisters. And if you meet the rules on the Canadian one, then you meet the rules on the US one. And that gives you a rapid route to listing. So MindMed used that. And the benefit of that for the case of MindMed is that you can continue to use a number of the fundraising tools that exist in Canada. And you haven't had to file all of the S documents to get listed as you would if you went on direct. In the case of Truffle or Trip, whichever one you want to go with for Red Light, that one has been enterprising. So a number of companies I've been involved with, someone puts up our ticker for us on the pink. So those big companies you described, I'll bet you not one of them went to the effort of actually saying, what's our pink sheet listing? Some enterprising individual who wanted to trade the stock put this through and acted almost like a market maker. And the next thing you know, you have a trading platform.
I didn't mention that banks can do that too, right? That's what you just exactly what you should. Banks can say, hey, our clients want to trade this. We're going to go ahead and make a security for them.
Yeah, and essentially it becomes a parallel universe that is the same underlying asset. And so that's kind of where we are right now as Red Light, but it works. And the reason it works, in my opinion, is if you and I were doing this show about when you started at Benzinga, so call it almost 6 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. Was that kind of when you kicked it up? The cannabis stuff was just starting. So if you talk pink sheets then, you were mainly talking like for sure bankrupt, criminal, terrible companies that were probably lying to you. And then cannabis came along and needed a real mainframe platform to couple for US trades with the Canadian Securities Exchange. And so the prominence and comfort of trading things that are OTC has accelerated. And so that's why when you get into the psychedelic space, it's a well-blazed path for us to come in and follow that pattern. Now, why do I like this space? It's newish, but it's not new, meaning that what we're using as the baseline molecules and the opportunities to present them to humans is not a new thing, but to actually form companies that are publicly listed is a new thing. And so I think the opportunity for a player like Red Light is to become a brand that is trusted in a whole bunch of geographies for products that people might want anyhow, maybe buying anyhow, and that we migrate them to a legal platform that says it's okay to be an adult and have fun. And I think that platform has really great opportunities to grow. The key thing is we have to constantly navigate kind of what the show's about, just to the line of what you can do. So it may not yet be legal in some places, but it won't yet have become illegal. Is a big discussion for a player like us, because as long as it's permissible, it's possible. And so that's probably a good place for an OTC type company to be listed, because you're navigating around these pylons, but it's also a great way to create value without getting in a regulatory spat with FINRA or SYSX.
It's a great point. A lot of companies, as Red Light is use the OTC markets as Red Light's using them right now. It's sort of like a go-between, an intermediary step, if you will, right? Without having to deal with all the regulation that comes with being on an exchange, but at the same time, allowing their shares to be publicly traded. They can raise money that way, and they can give investors access. So, Bruce, I have to ask you, you're of course a veteran of the cannabis industry. Do you see, or what kind of parallels do you see between these two spaces, between psychedelics and cannabis?
Well, bias and terrible regulation, right, are the first two things.
I guess I should have expected that.
right. But like both were deemed at certain points in their initiation to be uninvestable sectors in which no business could be built. And so there was this bias that the illicit market will always dominate. I think we're seeing that the illicit market is probably the best showcase market to tell us what people want. And then what you have to do is figure out, how do I deliver that in a legally compliant way? So that bias exists, the stupid rules. The opportunity is to migrate and navigate around the rules. Like, look at how many state by state operates. You call it a multi-state operator in cannabis, but nobody actually carries any cannabis from state to state.
It's true.
So there are ways by which you can create a structure. So Todd and I talk, I think I've texted and talked with him 3 times today. The last thing I want to talk to him about is we can't do that great opportunity because we went to a big board US exchange and therefore we have to wait for all of the big booze and pharma companies to be in the play. Our opportunity, as it was in early stage cannabis, is to be nimble, specific, find ways to comply with the rules and still get there before everyone else. And so OTC is that. And if you pick the right stocks in the OTC, you're going to pick aggressive stocks that actually have a growth pattern that might not be achievable if they're on some big board with a long sheet of rules.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a great point. And then it comes down the road. Many companies, as I said, choose to uplist, and that there's just more value added from that, as we saw with MindMed. I'm just curious, like, what are there specific growth trends that you're eyeing right now? I'm talking like 1 year, 2 years out in the psychedelic space. Cannabis has the eventual legalization to look forward to. What does psychedelics have to look forward to?
Well, it depends on the type of company. So we'll hit TRUFF. When it trades OTC, it means it essentially trades without institutional buyers. Mm-hmm. And what it means over time is that if the framework in which what we're doing becomes more adopted broadly around the globe, institutional players will enter. So this is a retail, almost only early stage play. And the reason that I think it can be have a longer opportunity is that people already buy these products. They want microdosing. They want it to be truly micro. So in the case of Red Light, we have the chance to actually be the trusted brand that brings you what you want, consistent every time, so you can go ahead and have a better life, have a little more fun and not destroy it. In the case of MindMed, well, what we're looking at there is how do we take these existing molecules and actually work with them so that they're the inspiration, but not the simplistic delivery. What I mean by that is, some of them might have a way that they may assist you in getting off of an addiction, but the side effect of that treatment might be cardiac arrest and a horrible trip. So what you want to do is take the base molecule and say, how do we evolve this so we don't actually potentially cause cardiac arrest, but we still help you get off of, say, an opioid addiction. And so I think there's the long tail ones, which take the inspiration from the existing molecules, and there's the current ones that can actually make real revenue right now. And places that you wouldn't think that have rules that would welcome a company like Red Light. Well, Brazil, right? We can actually now we have to turn it into a real and big market. We got stuff going on with, Jamaica. We got things going obviously in Europe. And so there's opportunities that I think will just become more numerous. Look at you. We all have people walking around. I love COVID because I got somebody coming into my office. You got somebody jumping in front of you.
You don't even know, man. You don't even know.
What you guys had in your little note, you said attire is business casual. I'm like, does that actually mean just put clothes on? Like, I have no clue what that terminology even means now.
Business casual is changing. It means you got to wear pants is what that means.
Yeah.
You got to have pants on.
Yeah. So I would say the two splits in psychedelics are long-term, medium and long-term, super big winners if they're successful in the evolution of the molecules, and immediate term revenue companies that will be bigger deals as the rules change. And the question is, how fast will they change? And that's been a cannabis question.
All right. That segues into my last question, which is also a question from the chat, which is, do you see cannabis legalization happening on the federal level this year? Or if not, when?
If I were in the US and running it, I would focus on all the short-term things right now. And I would say, if you reelect me for a second term, I promise to do the cannabis thing. Because I think what they need to do is keep some powder to make people vote. And I know everybody doesn't want to hear that, but politics, the day they get elected, their job immediately is to get reelected. So there's no politician who has a long-term plan. They have a short-term plan that repeats. And so I'm always worried about the short-term plan. If you give all the goodies out in the first term, do you get the second term? Well, all that is messing around. I think we're going to start hearing a lot more stuff in other parts of the world. We start hearing about Mexico, and we start hearing, what's happening in Europe. I just think the ocean might start to boil while that conversation's going on. And the business of politics, we also have to be a bit careful what we wish for. Like, if we wish for a federally regulated legal medical program, we've just said we would like our boss to be the FDA potentially. And there's not a lot of people jumping up and down to say, I want that. So I'm probably one of the more, I think it's going to be state by state. They're going to be huge. I think it's going to get better and better, but that might not be a federal national uniform program. It could be something like, I'll call it states' rights structures. So maybe the companies will be able to access NASDAQ.
Okay.
That kind of hybrid weird thing versus a simple straight up. And then Biden or whoever's going to run for the second term says, if you guys can get out of bed and everybody come vote for me again, I will promise you as adults you can buy cannabis. It worked in Canada like a damn. The guy got elected. He had good hair and one promise. People will go to the polls if they think they're actually going to get legal access to cannabis.
Yeah, it's something we're all waiting for, unfortunately, and we're gonna have to keep waiting until we don't have to wait anymore. But until then, states issue any plant touching company, at least in the U.S., will be for the moment trading on the OTC markets. And if you don't touch the plant, then that's a different case entirely. If you're Canadian, different case entirely. But if you're in the US and you touch the plant, then OTC markets is it for you. Bruce,
right, but just to give you a quick shot, they're building phenomenal business. Like, it's not like they're at the end of the runway saying, where can I go from here? I would say we got another 2 or 3 years of building phenomenal businesses that when federal legalization occurs, there will be a single choice for all big players: buy people. So the more track we lay down, the more we work right now as cannabis companies, the more entrenched they will be and the more certain of value. So I don't think this is a pause. It's a be productive time.
Yeah. And it's, as you said, it's an early stage. We're still in, if you can believe it, we're still in early days. Yeah. So yeah, it's a great point. Totally agree. Bruce Linton is a veteran of cannabis psychedelic space. He's on the board of Red Light Holland Corp, which is on the screen ticker TRUFF. Bruce, thank you so much, man. Appreciate the time.
Enjoy the day in your new office.
All right.
Yeah, bye-bye.
So Bruce teased something there that I want to go in on a little bit for a second. And that is that this idea of value creation, right? When we talk about companies that trade on OTC markets and then trade on and go to exchanges, right? So what I'm going to do is pull up my Benzinga Pro screen so you can see. So I've brought up. So this is MindMed. This is a psychedelics company. You guys all know this one, right? I'm sure you do. And they uplisted. They uplisted to the NASDAQ. You can see exactly on the chart when they announced it. Here, wait. This is a 2-day chart. Let's back it up. That's better. This is a year-to-date chart. Okay. You can see exactly on the chart when they announced the uplist, right? That gap right there. And you can see the day of the uplist, which in this case happens to have been this day. I mentioned this on pre-market prep. I was watching this like a hawk because there aren't that many examples or precedents of cannabis or cannabis-related companies uplisting to an exchange in the U.S. Most cannabis companies are still on OTC markets, to be frank. There's the Tilrays and the Canopy Growth and the Kronos, and those are all in Canada. I'm talking to U.S. companies, right? So here we have a U.S. company that traded on the OTCQX that uplisted to an exchange, and you can see just the pop there. Why? Because Bruce said it, right? A lot of investors, institutions, cannot invest in OTC securities. They can't. That's not to say they all can't. Some of them can. A lot of them do. Hedge funds do all the time. But a lot of institutions, a lot of big asset managers are restricted from buying, from basically trading any security that trades on OTC markets. So when you go to an exchange, it sort of opens the doors for all that new money to come pouring in, right? And so that's why stocks will go up on news of an uplisting, is because the doors have been opened. There's more capital that can now come in, and theoretically that creates value and that can drive up the price, right? There are people, I'm sure now, that want to buy cannabis stocks or that want to own GBTC but can't, right? Because they don't trade on the exchange. So you got to think about who the other people in the market are. On that note, and before we bring on our next guest, I just want to outline briefly for a moment here. Here I just brought up a list. These are the most actively traded securities, right, for today. So you can see ETHE, right, Ethereum Trust from Grayscale. You can see GBTC, TCEHY, that's Tencent, right? Obviously, another crypto play, RHHBY is Roche. That's interesting right there. That HTZ that's Hertz. Very interesting. If you haven't looked at this chart, I recommend you do. So these are just your most active securities on OTC markets today. But I want to talk briefly about like the structure of OTC markets. So I mentioned the tiers, right? You got the QX, you got the QB, you got the pink. But maybe you're wondering, like, what is the difference other than like the different rules and the different regulations? What actually is the difference between OTC markets and exchange? And very simply, exchanges are matchmakers. All right. If you place an order, your order gets routed realistically to a HFT or market maker like Citadel, who then jumps you in the queue, routes your order to an exchange. The point is, eventually your order will get to an exchange where a buyer is matched with the seller. Okay, OTC markets, there is no central exchange. It's broker dealer to broker dealer. You place an order through your broker, they connect with other brokers directly, and they fill your order that way. So it's just a different way to fill your order or to route your order rather than in exchange. So what that means is spreads can be a little wider. You got to know that going in. Spreads can be a little wider. There may not be as much liquidity. There may be a lot less volume, right? Just because broker dealers have to connect directly to broker dealers. They do that through OTC markets, but there's no like central locations that's matching all the buyers and sellers of all the orders for a given security. So just understand that the structure of OTC markets is different than an exchange in that way. There's no one location. Okay, so I mentioned the most active. I mentioned the structure. There was a couple other things. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat to see if there's any questions there. I talked about cannabis a lot, but crypto is another great example, right? The GBTC, which is like one of the most traded securities out there, can't trade on an exchange. Now it will trade on an exchange. Grayscale has said they will convert GBTC to an ETF when the regulation allows them to. And at that point, again, it will uplist to an exchange. But until that happens, you want to own GBTC, which was, I believe, the first crypto security in the US, other than, of course, crypto itself. You want to own that, you got to go OTC markets, right? Same with the ETHE. Right. And Grayscale has like how many? A half dozen of these things now. And they're all pretty liquid. They're all pretty active. And the law is preventing them from trading on an exchange. So a lot of times the regulation just hasn't caught up, and companies that still want to have a secondary market for their shares only have one option in the US at least. And that's on OTC markets. So, okay, let's see if our next guest is here. I see he's in the studio, but he's not. His camera's not on. Our next guest is going to be Frank Holmes, guys. He's the CEO of Hive Blockchain. I want to ask Frank. I've talked to Frank a number of times through the years, and I want to ask him what's going on in that space, because Hive is a mover. This thing can have some serious volume. And I got some questions for Frank for whenever we can get producer AB. See if we can get Frank's camera on, if we can, and then I'll bring him on after that. Any questions from chat in the meantime? Oh man, Nathan, that's such a specific question. What are the odds of HITIF getting uplisted? Man, if I knew that, I wouldn't need to be here right now. Real fast, what is it? I gotta look it up. High tide, man, dude. I don't know. That's the thing, Nathan. I really don't know. It looks like if it's a cannabis play, and they touch the plant directly, they're gonna have to wait till we get some federal legalization. But as Bruce alluded to, right, a lot of times this market really is, whether it's QX, whether it's QB, or even like whether it's pink, it really is like a testing ground, and you can essentially get in before institutions. People talk about sticking it to the hedge funds and the man. A lot of them can't trade this stuff. This is a way for you to sort of beat them in a way. Yeah, Charlie, I wish I could predict it. I'm sorry. And I should mention, by the way, that I do own a number of OTC traded securities. And I've mentioned this a bunch of times on pre-market preparation. I own the 4 largest multi-state operators in the U.S., right? That's Cresco, Curaleaf, Trulieve, and Green Thumb. They all trade on the OTCQX. They're all pretty liquid. They all will eventually uplist to an exchange whenever. I don't know. But until then, you can still trade them. I can still trade them. I'm long for an investment. I'm not trading them. I'm buying hold. If anything, I'm buying more. But so yeah, I would say don't be afraid just because you don't see a stock on an exchange. Don't be afraid to look into it. That's not necessarily like a barometer of whether a company is good or bad. If they trade, I mentioned there's a lot of very large companies that trade on OTC markets, right? Nintendo's not going under anytime soon, right? Tencent, it's like the largest company in China, in Asia, one of Tencent, right? Huge conglomerate, trades on pink market, right? There's just a lot of big companies, and you gotta just look into it, but don't be afraid. That's really my lesson here. Okay, I'm seeing Frank Holmes, so let's bring him on right now if we can. All right, here he is, Frank Holmes, CEO of Hive Blockchain, ticker HIVE on the OTCQX market. Frank, how are we doing today?
It's great to be with you. Outstanding.
Outstanding. I haven't seen this room from you. You're somewhere.
This is my workshop here. This is where I'm busy working away. My latest has been when I flew a MiG. I was reminded of that, so I brought the MiG out a couple years ago. And we created a company called Corp, which was then bought out by Newmont.
So maybe you can explain how you got involved here, because you're also the CEO of US Global Investors. And as I understand, you started off trying to create like a Bitcoin or a blockchain ETF, right? And then
correct, a Bitcoin ETF, and recognized early at $1,000 an hour legal bills, it was not going anywhere because the SEC, and rightfully so, was quite concerned on anti-money laundering laws. And but when it comes to Bitcoin, you know where it's been, you just don't know the two parties it's been with. Yeah. So now better software can track that. But back 4 years ago, it was a great concern that something would show up from a hacker in the New York Stock Exchange, and the same thing in Canada. So I had all this knowledge going nowhere. And friends said to me in Vancouver, said, some young guys got this idea on crypto mining. I don't think it'll work, but I did. And so I put up my money rather than trying to launch a product. I put it into the creation of Hive, and immediately other institutions followed suit, went public. It was the first crypto mining company. And we started with buying, our first acquisition was in Iceland, mining Ethereum. And then we expanded the Ethereum footprint in Sweden, and then we went into Bitcoin mining. But we are the only crypto mining company today. We were the first crypto mining company to go public. We only use green energy, and we are the only ones mining Ethereum.
So explain then. So they're mining, like that's the business, right? It's just straight. You guys are miners.
So I look at it as being like central bankers without any political issues, because we just validate transactions, and every time we validate a transaction, we get new coins, and those coins are virgin coins. What happened this time last year was the supply of Bitcoin halved. What's fascinating about the history and the genesis of what Satoshi created when he first launched Bitcoin was to induce you and seduce you with paying you 50 Bitcoins for every time you validated this transaction. And you need powerful software and cheap electricity and cool weather. So what we found is that when every 4 years, Bitcoin went from 50 to giving you only 25 as more users came in and more believers. And it went from 25 to 12. From 12, now it's down to 6.25. In 4 more years, now 3 years, it'll have again. And so what's happened is that the supply is shrinking every 10 minutes when you have the opportunity to get a new coin. then shrinking. So therefore, as more people believe and use Bitcoin, Metcalfe's law says it grows exponentially. And that's what we're seeing. Ethereum is a smart contract. It's really the internet of everything in blockchain.
I think your position, your work is very interesting because you're one of the few people that I can think of that is, has a lot of skin in the game for crypto, for Bitcoin, and also for gold, right? Like you're simultaneously bullish both. Can you explain that?
Well, I believe they're inclusive. Gold has been around for 5,000 years, which makes it quite significant. The biggest demand for gold is love. If you look in Asia in particular, gifts and et cetera are done with gold. And it's highly correlated to rising GDP per capita. As China's GDP per capita surpassed India, all of a sudden it became the largest gold importer. 40% of the movement in gold is really portfolio management, central banks using as a hedge against other currencies devaluing. That's one reason why the US dollar is so strong. It has the largest gold holdings at Fort Knox. But always what shocks me is the data point that Indian women in India wear six times the amount of gold in Fort Knox. It's protected them from all bad political issues and currency devaluation. So you wear your money. When it comes to Bitcoin, you can't really do that. And you need electricity for it to function. So I don't think gold's going out of mainstream, but I do think that Bitcoin is an important part of the new evolution because of the backbone of blockchain technology, that it's going to grow and prosper, and that people should always have a 10% weighting in gold and rebalance and have a 2% in crypto-related asset classes.
Can you explain why Hive trades on the QX market?
Well, in that process of first going public in Canada, and we saw $1 billion of U.S. money come into Canada with new companies, like Novacrat's launched his company, Galaxy, in Canada because it was more fluid and it was more accepting of Bitcoin and the ecosystem of blockchain. Now it's proliferating and it's growing at a phenomenal level in America. It just dominates it in every way. So we are listed on the pink sheets, and last year we're the fourth most liquid company on the pink sheets. We traded more than Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust, which was the first way you could actually buy a security related to Bitcoin, was Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust. We trade 1.7 billion shares in Canada last year and almost 500 million shares here in the US. But we've been public about this, that we will go through this process of listing in the US. The documents you should be filing this month, this week, I hope, so that we've registered with the SEC. And we hope that NASDAQ will look favorably and let us come on their exchange as we upgrade Hive.
Interesting. So we can expect to see those filings this week, you said?
From your lips to God's ears, just pushing those lawyers.
Fair, certainly fair. We're on with Frank Holmes. He's the CEO of Hive Blockchain. Frank, is there anything else that you think people should know about Hive or Bitcoin miners in general or crypto miners in general?
I think that you have to know the DNA, two things, the DNA of volatility. The DNA of volatility for gold is on a daily basis is 1%. The stock market is 2%, and Tesla is 5%. And Ethereum is 6%. Bitcoin is the same as Tesla. So before you go into disruptive new industries like Tesla in the car industry or blockchain, crypto mining, then you have to really respect this DNA of volatility. Two, we're the first to really have a strong ESG footprint. We believe only in green energy, and we're the only ones mining both Ethereum and Bitcoin. And that mining of Ethereum last year allowed us to be the most profitable crypto mining company in the space of all our peers. So I think that going forward, we'll maintain that. We're expected to grow about 300% this year. We've purchased a lot of ASIC chips to expand our footprint by more than what they call 2 exahash, 10 to the power of 18. And so that will give us, in today's current, if you looked at Bitcoin and Ethereum prices today, that would give us a run rate of pushing around 300 million and making 200 million. That's just based on performance.
Forgive my ignorance, but wait, what exactly determines how profitable a miner is? I mean, what makes one miner more profitable than another miner?
It's a great question because the different coins offer different. So at times we've mined Ethereum Classic because we get a bigger profit margin. So we'll take our 20 megawatts in Sweden and dedicate 4 megawatts towards mining Ethereum Classic, and then we'll stop that. So you can see there's what really impacts it is called the difficulty of hashing. So what happens is more people want to mine Bitcoin. That means it's fixed at 6.25 coins every 10 minutes. So if more people have got expensive mining equipment to mine, that means there's less for me to share in. So that's called the hash rate difficulty. And one of the big parts is that we had a big footprint in Ethereum. There weren't really any public companies on an institutional level mining like us. So that gave us a big profit margin. Like last year when we were mining, we were having 90% gross margins in mining Ethereum. Now, with more people coming in to compete to mine Ethereum, our profit margin has shrunk to about 70%. So that's what the real issue is how fast can you get new technology embedded out there. Mining a coin will impact its profit margins.
Frank, what are the odds that we get a Bitcoin ETF this year in the US?
The easiest thing for me whenever I've asked this for World of Gold is look at the DNA of volatility. It is a non-event for gold to go up 20% or fall 20% over a rolling 12-month period. Mm-hmm. So this time last year, it ran to plus 40%, and then it's corrected. That's just normal DNA. When it comes to crypto, it's plus or minus 100%. So you can see Ethereum at $5,000. It would not be, that's unbelievable. And Bitcoin trading at 100,000 because that's just normal DNA of volatility. What's important for readers, and you go to Hive's website, we have a thing that explains Metcalfe's law. And Metcalfe's law is very important to understand why these prices are going up, because Bitcoin is capped at 21 million coins. And as more and more people believe, and they can buy fractals of Bitcoin through their PayPal account, that means they don't have to spend $57,000 buying one coin. They can buy $500 worth. And you can buy on PayPal Bitcoin, but you can't buy stocks. So what happens is it attracts more people interested in buying there, and then they can sell it to turn around and make a profit and potentially make a profit and buy a new TV through Amazon. So you're seeing a phenomenon take place that you're getting more people coming into the space, but supply is capped. Every 10 minutes, only 6.25 new coins. In a couple of years, it's capped at 21 million. So that means that more people believe Metcalfe's law says it grows exponentially.
All right, Frank, I can't let you go without also asking about the airlines. I mentioned you're also the CEO of U.S. Global Investors, which is the issuer of the JETS ETF. Airlines have been, on this reopening trade. They've been on a run, and they're well off the lows. They've come a long way from last year. How much of the reopening is already priced into these airlines?
You know what's really remarkable for me, first of all, is this time last year, I had to defend why Robinhood investors, and it used to be a public.
This is a great point. This is a great point you're making.
And in an ecosystem, you have to have minnows before the tunas and the whales and everyone else comes in. You need a complete ecosystem. The market was lacking price discovery. So the minnows came in, and they weren't stupid. 25,000 of them, our data shows, bought jets around $12. And it went to 28. Now, the rationale was that every time there's a crisis and the airlines fall 70%, a year later, they're up 80 to 120%. So those new buyers coming in were pretty clever. And when I hear Buffett talk negative about them, etc., he got out of the airlines, and that was basically the catharsis of that was the bottom, and away it took off. So I think that Robinhood investors are a very important part of the ecosystem for price discovery. And two is I think that we have lots of opportunity because Europe has yet to open up. Latin America is still struggling to open up, and Canada is still struggling. And Canada is just a basket case in politicians going northbound when they should be going southbound, and east when they should be going west. I mean, it's just bizarre watching what they've done. But they're going to open up this summer, and vaccines are going to grow. So as you see the world's economy, more and more people being vaccinated, you can witness the pent-up demand for people to want to travel. The U.S. is the leader in this, and that's one reason why we're seeing more tourism and travel. And for active people trading this market, etc., you can go to TSA. Every day they publish how many people they clear. It went from 2.7 million down to 90,000 in April of 2020, and now it's over 1.5 million. So we've seen the tourists have a big rebound because Americans as a whole travel. About 2 million people a day get cleared. 700,000 are inbound from Asia, Europe, and South America. So we're seeing out of that 2 million, we're up about 75%. The business travel is going to wait till you get at least 70% of people vaccinated. And then I think the bigger profit margins will come in then. That'll be coming in the fall. But right now, Europe is going to open up. They're going to come up with a passport that if you've been vaccinated, you can get ease of travel. So I think that Jets has another leg on the upside.
It's a great point you bring up. It's a bit of a catch-22. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. A year ago, maybe I was one of the people that was asking you, Frank, to defend why anybody would buy any airline stock or your ETF, which of course owns all of them. And now here we are a year later, they've all rallied, and I'm asking you the exact same question. Why are people buying airlines stocks? So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You can't make everyone happy all the time. But it's a very interesting catch-22. And everyone who's bought airline stocks in the last year has made and held at least has made a good decision. So it's worked out for him. Frank Holmes is the CEO of Hive Blockchain, also U.S. Global Investors, where he runs the Jets ETF. Frank, always a pleasure. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity for sharing our story.
All right. It is 12:50. We've got about 10 minutes or so until I bring on my next guest, who is Jay Hutton. He's the CEO of Visibility Group. The ticker is VSBGF. And in the meantime, guys, if you like this stuff, if you like specials, smash the like for specials. We're trying some new things. We're experimenting, and we're going to see what happens, right? We'll probably do another one of these again later on in the year. But we get a lot of questions about lower priced stocks, about OTC markets companies. And we thought, well, what the hell? Why just not bring a bunch of them on at once and do it that way? So that's what we're doing here. So smash the like if you like coverage of this stuff, because this does not, let's be clear, this does not get mainstream coverage, right? And I hate to be like, that guy crapping all over, other media outlets, but this area of the market is rather large. There's more than 11,000 securities that trade on OTC markets, and they do not get a lot of coverage. Maybe they do in like the cannabis industry or crypto, but outside of that, this is an area that most people don't pay attention to, and maybe they should. It is our point here. There's just as great an opportunity to make money here as there is to make money on NASDAQ stocks and SYSX. So let's do this. We've got a few minutes, and I want to do something. Every single month, Benzinga writes an article about the most actively traded securities on or companies on OTC markets, right? We do this every month. I happen to have gotten a sneak peek of that article. It is not, to my knowledge, it hasn't gotten live yet, but it is in draft form. And I'm going to spoil it a little bit for you right now if I can. So this is data that we get from OTC markets. And I think it's important because, again, a lot of people think OTC markets, they think, super illiquid place, no volume, impossible to trade. That can be true, but it also cannot be true, right? It depends what we're talking about. It's such a diverse place, and there are a number of places or a number of securities companies that trade on OTC markets that are pretty liquid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the list here, and I'm going to just stick with the OTCQX, which, as I said at the top, is like the top tier of the OTC market. There are some restrictions there are some rules and regulations to being on the QX market. And I'm going to run through the top 10 of the most active securities on the QX market for the month of April. This data is like 2 days old, right? We just got this data this week. Obviously, it's the first of the month. All right, let's start with GBTC, which I'm going to share my my pro screen here so you can see what I'm seeing. GBTC was the most actively traded security on the OTCQX market for the month of April. This is not new. This has been the case pretty much for most of the last year, give or take. And prior to that, it was consistently in the top 2 or 3. But in terms of dollar volume, GBTC had more dollar volume than any other asset on OTCQX in April. By a lot, to be frank. I mean, more than double what the next highest asset was. Speaking of next highest asset, that was also crypto. It wasn't GBTC, but it was ETHE, right? The Grayscale Ethereum Trust. These two have been like the 1-2 punch, the 1-2 most active securities on this market for basically since COVID. To be frank, it wasn't always this way. The company that was historically the most active traded company is actually number 3 for April, which is Roche. And if you remember, I brought up the screen earlier of the most traded securities for today. You can see ETHE, GBTC, Roche is on there as well. So Roche was the 3rd most active traded company on OTCQX during April. Number 4 was, it's all crypto, guys. It's all crypto. Big Digital, right? BBKCF. And again, why am I doing this? Just to show you where the volume is, where the liquidity is in these assets, right? So Big Digital was the 4th most active traded security on the OTCQX last month. And now we're getting into some of the non-crypto stuff, right? The 3 of the top 4 were all crypto. Moving on to some cannabis names. Trulieve, which I mentioned, I'm long. Well, that was the 5th most actively traded security on the OTCQX market in the month of April, followed by, I guess there's more crypto, my bad. Grayscale, Ethereum, Classic Trust, which is ETCG. ETCG. That was the that came in just behind Trulieve on dollar volume for the month of April. Didn't really, so far we've had a bunch of crypto, we've had one cannabis, and we've had a Roche, which is of course a like international conglomerate compared to like these 2 emerging industries. So there's that interesting dichotomy there. After the Classic Ethereum Trust, BNP Paribas. So I mentioned at the top of the show, why would a company want to trade on OTCQX or on the OTC markets? It's because they trade in their own market primarily, and they just, for whatever reason, don't want to go through the process of listing on an exchange in the U.S. So BNP Paribas is the bank, the French bank that you all have probably heard of. They're huge, they're international, and their primary market is over in Europe. But for U.S. investors, the way to get access is either A, create a brokerage account in Europe and go through that hassle, or B, trade them on the OTCQX market here in the U.S. Number 8, Green Thumb, another one that I own, GTBIF. This is also frequently in the top 10 most traded securities for the market, for the QX market on a given month. That was followed by another one that I own, Curaleaf. And there's a reason these are the most active, is because they're the largest MSOs and in my opinion, the best positioned. So you have Green Thumb, you have Curaleaf back to back, and then rounding out the top 10 for the most actively traded securities on the OTCQX market in April was the company that we just spoke with, Hive Blockchain, HVBTF. I didn't get that right. HVBTF. There we go. That was your 10th most active security on the QX market for the month of April. Isaac asks if I should be sitting next time. Maybe. I don't know. I was doing Power Hour, And I thought, what the hell? I want to do Luke's thing. I want to go where Luke stands. Does this seem unnatural to you? I'm okay with that. I kind of like it, actually. I can like lean forward. It's kind of nice. I'm not just sitting like in my corner. So there we go. Okay, ran through the top 10. Just to recap, we have GBTC, we had ETHE, we had Roche, we had Big Digital, TrueLeaf, Grayscale, BNP Paribas, Green Thumb, Cureleaf, and Hive Blockchain. There will be an article. If it's not up already, it should be up in the next day or so, recapping the top 10 most active securities on the QX market in April, on the QB market in April, and any other notable trends that we see. Again, this is data directly from the issuer, directly from OTC Markets. So there is that. Okay, smash the like, guys. My next guest is here. I see him in the background of our studio. Jay Hutton, the CEO of Visibility Group. VSBGF is your ticker. They're on the pink market. And let's go ahead and bring Jay on now, if we can, producer AB. Jay, how are we doing today?
Doing well. Thank you, Spencer. How are you?
Doing dandy. Actually, no, I'm having a legendary day. Legendary.
But epic.
I do an interview with this guy, and he always signs off with "Have a legendary day," and I like that. So,
that's like a Walter Cronkite thing.
maybe. Well, he's my spirit animal, so it makes sense.
Oh, okay, good.
Jay Hutton, CEO of Visibility Group. Tell us what you guys do.
Sure. Visibility is a computer vision artificial intelligence company. We provide Google-style analytics for physical spaces. We sit in this category that's basically teaches computers and cameras how to interpret what they see. We do this for retail outcomes and security outcomes. The world's largest companies are partnered with us. We've been in a long-term commercial relationship with Intel, and more to come on that, having developed products together and gone to market together on multiple things. Of course, our biggest deal is a deal we announced in December with Anheuser-Busch, where we're deploying 50,000 stores across Latin America. I can talk more about that in a moment. WestRock, an S&P component company, and Johnson Controls. For calendar 2021, we're guiding between 50 and 20 million in bookings. We're a SaaS company, recurring revenue, so high margin software revenue accrued over time, and typically 3-year contracts. Some of them are longer. We're partnered with ABI, Anheuser-Busch, in particular in Latin America, because they identified the need to do 3 things in retail in Latin America: visual display, audience analytics, so how many people are coming into my store, how many men, how many women, how many 25-year-olds, how many 35-year-olds, what's their sentiment when they come in. All of this creates an environment where the store itself becomes a channel for media, for the promotion of beers, or the promotion of soft drinks, the promotion of snacks and confectionery, that sort of thing. So we've got this huge opportunity in Latin America. The commitment is 55,000 stores over 5 years. Another partner of ours, specifically in Latin America, is Energetica, where almost 18 months ago, together with them, we won a piece of business for a smart city deployment in Mexico City, where we're deploying 40,000 cameras over 4 years. It's a $10 million deal for visibility. We're just begun it. We're at about 8,000 to 10,000 cameras right now. We were slowed down slightly during COVID, but it's ramping up again. And of course, in that environment, as opposed to retail, in that environment, we're looking for license plate detection, car detection, pedestrian counting, car classification. Is there a fight in a crowd? Is there a fire in a crowd? All of these things are capabilities that computer vision is uniquely able to address and identify. And the problem is, as we know in security, is we've got an increasing number of cameras out there, tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of millions of cameras, and we haven't solved the problem that is people-based. In other words, we have too many cameras being monitored by too few individuals. This is a perfect opportunity for artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can be leveraged to interpret the video streams on behalf of the operator, not replace the operator. We're not talking about a robot world. We're talking about augmenting the operator, giving the operator more contextual information. If the camera sees something that the operator missed, the camera can identify to the operator there's something you need to look at. This has had a huge impact in Mexico City, where the first 4 counties that have been deployed, Coahuila, Benito Juarez, Miguel Hidalgo have seen 40% crime reduction in 1 year. And this is an unsafe city. This does a couple things. Of course, it does the obvious. It increases safety in the city, but it gets mayors reelected. That's an important piece as well.
Right.
So we're very delighted to see the growth of the company. We've inflected significantly over the last little while, and we've got a huge opportunity in front of us.
So can you explain what exactly the product is? So it's cameras that ingest data into like some sort of a SaaS product or platform, and that in turn spits out like insights?
Yes. So technically the product isn't the camera. The product is the software that runs on compute that is connected to the camera.
Okay.
So the camera feed comes in. It's a video stream. You know that. We interpret that video stream for things of meaning. Now, every environment, a retail environment would have things of meaning that are different than a security environment. In retail, you may be looking for the number of men, the number of women, the number of 25-year-olds, the number of 35-year-olds, the number of people that are happy versus unhappy. All that can be measured remarkably by cameras. That's very valuable in a retail context. In a security context, the things you might be looking for are bad guys, people that have been banned from the facility, weapons, license plates of note, vehicles, vehicle classification. So we do the plumbing for both of those businesses, and we do so under a software as a service construct.
So it sounds like you're going to solve the problem of every time I go to the store and there's one register open and there's 30 people online. And I'm just like, what the hell? Where can't you just?
Yeah, that's one of the problems. That's one of the problems. In retail, we
everybody
have
identifies with that.
Right. In retail, we have both an operational issue we're solving, and we're constituting a brand new media channel. Spencer, if you're PepsiCo and you're launching a brand new energy drink in retail, you can deploy our product to measure the performance of digital media in store in real time against your target audience, which is probably a 25 to 30-year-old male. We're doing for bricks and mortar what Google did in the 90s for the internet. And that's why it's so exciting for us.
What is the nature of the Anheuser-Busch partnership?
So we're doing 55,000 stores in principally 4 countries, but it's expanded beyond that. It's Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, and Mexico, with the greatest concentration in Mexico. Anheuser-Busch owns a company called Modelorama. Modelorama is a convenience store. Think of 7-Eleven, a variant of that. They are deployed throughout the country, and we are deploying digital display, audience analytics, and security. If you're an impresario and you run a Modelorama in Guadalajara, you will be robbed. It's going to happen. It's just the nature of the country at the moment, tragically. So we deploy an advertising network, which means that Modelorama can monetize that. They can sell the spaces on that network. We measure it just like Google measures a website. We can give you metrics on the value of that advertising medium, male, female, number of people, etc. And we have our cameras looking for bad guys, weapons, indications of a security risk. All that combined together is the delivery to Anheuser-Busch. We're actually building a joint venture with them. We'll own 33%. They'll own 33%. Our local partner will own 33%. And it's a mammoth opportunity for us to build what is right now the largest digital media network for retail in the world by orders of magnitude, actually, significantly larger than anything close to it.
All right. So the logical question is, you're ingesting and analyzing this data from cameras and all these physical locations. So I walk into a store, what are the privacy implications of that?
You're right. That is, it's a topic we deal with, Spencer, almost daily.
I bet.
So we make it really clear. Like, we developed this product over the 5 or 6 years, right? We spent a bunch of money doing it, and we've done so completely conscious of the environment that we're selling into, which is privacy concerned. So we talk about our product being anonymous. We don't identify that it's Spencer, which is the PII problem in privacy, personally identifiable information. What we do, however, is we scrape your demographic data. 35-year-old male, happy, etc. Spent this amount of time in front of the Pepsi display and this amount of time in front of the Coke display. I'm making it up. All that data is incredibly valuable to monetize the platform. But identifying Spencer as Spencer is not that valuable, not in the retail context. So in the retail context, we anonymize the data. We make that data available. The close analogy would be the same kind of data that's available on your phone or on the internet when you surf the internet in terms of building the profile. That's what we need. From an advertising perspective, we just need to be able to build the profile, which we do demographically.
So very simply, visibility makes money just from signing deals with retailers.
Retailers and security. We're in this category known broadly as smart city. The Mexico deployment is a smart city deployment. Our customer is the municipal governments that constitute Mexico City together. So they're looking for things that are public safety in nature, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I would imagine. I'm wondering what the last year or so has been like for you. I imagine with everybody at home, there hasn't been much of a need for a service like yours. But now that we're theoretically coming out of this pandemic, at least in most parts of the world, and maybe just you can talk through like what the last year has been like. I'm just curious.
So believe it or not, last year was up about 400% on the previous year. People think of retail, and we have heavy exposure to retail, no doubt about it. But retail isn't broadly negatively impacted. We reasonably think that because we know our own behaviors have changed during COVID. But grocery is up 147%, Spencer. DIY, the Lowe's and Home Depots are up 120% during COVID. So they're actually breaking records. Is there categories of retail that are just terrible at the moment? Absolutely. If you're in Nordstrom's or Macy's, it's not good. But other categories of retail are actually doing well. And what's interesting is our exposure as visibility, our exposure to retail is principally in the areas that are doing well. If you're looking to assert your store as an advertising platform, which is what's happening here, you're looking to do so in the places where you have the most SKUs. Grocery, the most discrete products, because all those products are potential advertisers. In grocery, the average number of SKUs per grocery store is between 75,000 and 100,000. In a Home Depot, you'll be 50 to 60,000. So all of those brands are interested in buying advertising impressions in that store. So remarkably, during COVID, we've seen an acceleration in technology and innovation in our customers. And it's continuing into 2021.
You said last year was up, I think you said 400%. Is it in terms of revenue?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay. What is revenue right now?
Well, we just announced our 2020, and we did about $1 million Canadian, just shy of $1 million Canadian. But this year, where the inflection is underway in terms of percentage growth month over month. SaaS is an inverted triangle, as I'm sure you've heard thousands of people tell you before. It has a narrow base. 1 goes to 2, goes to 4, goes to 8. That's exactly the inflection point we're engaged in right now. And because we've got these very, very large deals that are part of that monetization effort, we're scaling now. Our problem isn't necessarily about demand. We're not knocking on a lot of doors at the moment. Our focus is on execution because we've landed the deals and we're now executing on those deals. That's why I can say with confidence what our numbers are likely to be in the current fiscal year.
So visibility trades on the pink market. What are the merits of that? Is there a scenario where you would move up to the QB or the QX or maybe even in exchange? And
actually, that effort to move up is underway at the moment. Okay. We're kind of waiting on pins and needles at the moment to graduate. Our principal market is the Canadian Stock Exchange in Canada. That's where we do the most volume.
Yeah.
So we've just actually, it was a broker that initiated the trading for us in the pink sheets. It wasn't even company initiated. But because we started to see some volume, significant volume actually in the US, we thought we'd invest in moving up and getting to a higher grade market.
So maybe you can speak to the merits, since you said your primary market, your primary market is in Canada. Explain the merits of cross listing in the US if it's not going to be your primary market. Well,
listen, we know that the end of our journey includes a NASDAQ listing. That's part of our tracking. We're not Pollyanna about it. We're not saying it's going to happen by July. We understand the initial listing requirements are what they are in the US. But the moment we find ourselves in a position to go after that marketplace, we're going to do so. That's our journey. That's our goal. That's our objective. We've been delighted to be a principal listing in Canada because we've received a lot of support from the investment banking community. We actually are a very liquid stock. We trade significant amounts of stock on a day-to-day basis, not approaching some of the numbers you showed in the prior segment, but still pretty good liquidity. And we definitely believe that broader exposure to our US marketplace, investor marketplace, is critical for us. It is our primary customer marketplace, so it might as well be our primary investor marketplace.
Got it. Yep. Makes sense. Jay Hutton, as you can see on the screen, is CEO of Visibility, ticker VSBLTY. Before I let you go, Jay, I'm trying to rack my brain. Like, who are your competitors? Who are you competing against? I feel like there's got to be some big player that I'm not thinking of that's in on this space.
So there are three discrete parts of our deliverable, Spencer. We have visual display, which frankly has a couple thousand competitors. It's a crowded marketplace. We call that a content management system. We govern everything a screen plays, all of the visuals, content management. The second piece, and in that marketplace, like I said, crowded, right? A couple thousand maybe. We have anonymous data analytics, which is gathering up the demographic data for the purposes of presenting to the brands the ROI, the impressions, all the things happening in real time to support the ad spend. That's anonymous, and that is 2 or 3 competitors, one French-based, a couple US-based, so it's a lot less crowded. And then in the security category, where we're doing persons of interest, weapons detection, license plate detection, we have a different set of competitors in that marketplace. All this to say, none of them compete across the board. So when it comes to a deal like the Anheuser-Busch deal in Latin America, where all 3 components are consumed, we're kind of a one-stop shop. And that puts us in a unique position to compete aggressively in some of the larger deals.
Jay Hutton, CEO of Visibility. Jay, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you, Spencer.
All right, 1:15 here. We got what do we got coming up? We got Mark Peiken is coming up next. He'll be on in a couple of minutes. After he's the CEO of Bespoke Partners. They just completed a complicated merger. We'll talk about that with SYSX. And then we've got Brian Goodman. I got to say, guys, I had no idea that there'd be so much interest for Brian Goodman or Golden Matrix Group. That'll be at 1:40, give or take a few minutes. A lot of people in chat seem very interested to hear from Brian. Caught me by surprise completely. So excited for that. That'll be at 1:40. Then I'll get Mark on in a few minutes, guys. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for substitute host, substitute Luke Jacoby, knock off Luke Jacoby, aka Spencer Israel. I'm in Luke's seat for a day. I gotta say, I'm getting comfortable here. I wasn't comfortable at first because this is Luke's spot, but I'm getting more and more comfortable. So if you think I should be the new host of Power Hour, throw 1 in the chat. If you think I never should appear on this show ever again, throw a 2 in the chat. I'm just curious to see what people think. But it's kind of fun taking over for Luke for a day. I feel like I'm in charge. I mean, let's be real. I am in charge, but now I feel like I'm in charge of. I can just like ruin everything. I can just mess with Luke's stuff, his soundboard, just mess with all of it, and just let him deal with it tomorrow. And that's his problem. All right. It is 1:17. Let me get Mark on in a couple of minutes here. I just wanted to, real quick, I ran through the top 10 most active names on the QX market before Jay came on, and I want to just do the QB market briefly. I'm not going to go into as great detail in that market, but for those interested, the most active name on the QB market in April was Voyager Digital. I'm talking about in terms of dollar volume. Voyager Digital. If you watch this show, it's a favorite. Luke Jacoby timed this one incredibly well. He traded it. He sold some. He lightened up the day of the Coinbase IPO. Fantastic trade from Luke Jacoby. Jason Raznick is still long and strong, and Voyager is very active. Very active. Obviously, the price run up is evident there from the chart. Cytodin CYDY has been among the most traded names on QB pretty much since the start of COVID. I remember them being, I have like a vague recollection of them being involved in like some sort of a treatment. And I'll be honest, I don't remember what happened there, if that ever came to market or what, but CYDY is a pretty active name on the QB market. Fannie and Freddie, guys, if you forgot, Fannie and Freddie are still public. They still trade. They are controlled by the government. They are government sponsored entities. All the profits go to the treasury, but you can trade them. You can trade them. Fannie Mae, FNMA, trades on the QB. Freddie Mac, FMCC, also trades on the QB. There are actually like a bunch of different share classes. I have no idea what the difference is between all of them. But FNMA is the main one for Fannie, FMCC for Freddie. And those are frequently the most active, among the most active traded securities on the QB market. So shout out to Fannie Freddie. Shout out to, housing market.
Wait, Spencer, I just got to cut in here, get a quick producer note. I see some comments about that to take over Luke's, you need to start getting a little louder into the mic. B,
oh my God, I'm not loud enough to be.
No,
Luke?
no, your levels are fine, but not Luke, not Luke levels.
Okay,
we might need a. I don't know if it's set up, but we might need at least one quick air horn just to.
All right, where is Luke's air horn? There's so many buttons here.
It should be just like the main button.
Why doesn't it say? Why doesn't it say air horn, guys?
Maybe like positive. If they're in folders, you got to go like positive sounds.
It does. I just missed it.
There we go. All right, that's all. Producer AB needed.
It literally said air horn. I just skipped right over it, and it's a different color. It's a different color. And I just selective perception on my part. Okay, let's bring on our next guest. The show must go on. Mark Peiken, CEO of Bespoke Partners. They just completed, as I said, a triangular reverse merger. We're going to talk about that merger with SYSX here. And I'm going to bring Mark on. Mark, how are we doing today?
Very well. How are you?
Doing well. Producer AB, let's see if we can jack up his levels a little bit. Mark, I know you were just on a couple of weeks ago, but I'm going to assume that not everybody that's watching then or that's watching now was watching then. Explain to us this triangular reverse merger and sort of what's happening there.
Sure, absolutely. Well, on April 14th, a triangular reverse merger closed between TTM Ventures, which prior to that, or as part of the completion of that merger, became TTM Digital Assets and Technologies. And that was merged into SYSX. And so at this point, TTM Digital Assets and Technologies is the controlling entity, effectively as the larger subsidiary of the two subsidiaries that are within SYSX. The other is the historical business, which is SYSX Government Services, which provides network solutions and cybersecurity goods and services pursuant to government contracts.
Okay, so that makes some sense to me, though I do admit this stuff is a little bit complicated. So you're the CEO of the new combined company, is that right?
No, I am not. The new CEO is Wayne Wasserberg. So my company, Bespoke Partners, was an early investor in TTM Ventures. So we started investing when Ethereum was about $60, and we wound up doing about 3 or 4 different rounds with TTM. And then we were able to introduce TTM to the SYSX party and effectively work with them through the transaction. And of course, now TTM is publicly listed. And the company is focused on Ethereum mining. Currently is operating north of 12,000 NVIDIA GPUs, owns a data center facility and has other co-located facilities. and is the largest Ethereum miner that we're aware of in the United States, and the only one that is US based that's publicly traded.
What got you into Ethereum mining in the first place?
Sure. So, Bitcoin, of course, it was really drawing all the attention at the time that we started, and Ethereum was really in its infancy. But even early on, back in late 2017, 2018, at the outset of TTM, we realized that Ethereum would provide a more flexible platform for growth than Bitcoin. Certainly, as you know, when you compare the two, Bitcoin is a tremendous store of value, right? It's been likened, of course, to gold, and certainly makes the transactions, financial transactions, occur much more quickly, right, than traditional banking. However, it doesn't have the same flexibility as Ethereum, where you can have smart contracts and really DeFi, decentralized finance, creating all sorts of novel opportunities for growth. And that also makes the Ethereum network much more advantageous for smaller and more frequent transactions.
On a scale of 1 to 10, though, like how surprised are you of the rise in Ethereum this year?
We're really not that surprised, actually. We were sort of wondering why the rest of the market, hasn't caught on, to Ethereum. When you're looking at where we are today and where sort of the entire internet economy is moving, to Web 3.0, which is effectively really being built on the Ethereum blockchain and all the opportunities that creates really for peer-to-peer interaction. We were frankly surprised, but fortunate, right, to be able to invest in Ethereum at much lower prices, and certainly we're really excited about all of the potential that Ethereum holds.
Here's a good question from our chat. I'm going to ask it. SPAC Broker is asking what your plan is once Ethereum switches to proof of stake. Sure.
Well, of course, I'm sure a lot of you are aware of Ethereum 2.0 and then the move toward proof of stake. And while we can't reveal all of our plans, it is certainly the GPU miners that we do have will be repurposed in some fashion. Certainly, the company has capabilities to do AI and rendering, but also the management team has experience mining other cryptocurrencies as well. And then, of course, there's also Ethereum Classic. In terms of proof of stake, the company also feels that it is uniquely positioned, given its early involvement in Ethereum and its wide-scale involvement in the mining of Ethereum today, that in order to really prepare for that proof of stake, the company is aggregating significant quantities of Ethereum in treasury. And so right now, based on the miners that are currently, or GPUs that are currently online, the company is mining between 600 and 700 Ethereum per month. But that number is expected to increase as additional miners that are purchased by the company also come online.
I'm curious, what kind of exposure do you have to this global shortage of semiconductors? It's obviously impacting different industries in different ways. The auto industry is sort of screwed for the moment. Is there any impact to your business?
Well, it's always been there's always been some level of challenge, right, to be able to obtain the GPUs, and really we don't see it being that more difficult today than it's been historically. We were fortunate, really during the 2018 sort of crypto winter to be able to acquire a significant number of GPUs at favorable pricing. And because we have, through our investors and partnerships, really a clear channel to NVIDIA, where we've been working with them for quite some time. And we have historical orders and continue to place additional orders. We think given the quantity of those, which we really can't talk about here today, we think that we're not going to have a problem continue to expand the mining capabilities.
Jordan Watkins from the chat. Yes, the merger went through, Jordan, but he's also asking if you can comment on the share structure, what that looks like post-merger.
Sure. Now, currently, there's about 150 million shares that are outstanding. So, effectively, 80% of those shares sort of correlate to the investors and the shareholders of TTM, being one of the wholly owned subsidiaries. The balance, the former SYSX public shareholders, as well as there was a conversion of debt and a cleaning up of the balance sheet related to SYSX, which created some of the additional share issuances. However, most of those shares are currently restricted, and they're not trading today in the market.
Got it. Can you speak to the merits of mining Ethereum in the U.S. Versus the largest, the country with the most miners, which is China? I mean, why do that?
Well, we think that being a U.S.-based company and obviously being audited, to U.S. GAAP standards, and it really provides investors with a greater level of comfort, in terms of the fact that it can be measured what it is that is being done. Of course, the mining of Ethereum, and that there's a greater level of transparency. We feel being here in the United States, and certainly we can't sort of reveal some of the locations of these data centers, but they're structured in a way to take advantage of more natural and clean power at very low cost. On a relative basis, and we think we're extremely well positioned for continued growth. And when you look at SYSX, today in comparison to some of the Bitcoin miners, for example, Marathon or Riot, we have a more significant revenue. The company will, when it reports, obviously the financial information post transaction. I think that the market will see that it's highly profitable business as well. And that really the growth curve for Ethereum, we believe, is much more attractive than Bitcoin as well. So we expect, to see tremendous success, continued success, and then really the ability to both benefit from a proof of stake in the future, but then also, of course, to have sort of that internal hedge of sorts, right, to be able to mine other cryptocurrencies and to do that in a dynamic fashion.
Another good one here from our chat. Chat's on fire today. What other cryptos are on the balance sheet? You guys on Bitcoin? You guys on Dogecoin?
So we're not on Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. Not yet. You're not. Not yet. You're not.
Well, I think it's fun, but when you kind of look at sort of the different cryptocurrencies that are out there, you've got the really this very stable store of value in Bitcoin, but much less flexibility, right? I think that at this point, given the transactions that are occurring on the Ethereum blockchain, right, seeing that there's been more than $1 billion in value of NFTs that have exchanged hands in the previous quarter, for example, the number of dApps, that are being developed. I mean, if I was Apple, I'd probably either watch out or figure out a way to sort of get in the game. And when you look at Ethereum, for example, if you made an analogy to trading cards, something that did when I was much younger, of course. Maybe that holding Ethereum is like having a Ty Cobb or a Reggie Jackson, or maybe a Don Mattingly a rookie card. Whereas Dogecoin is interesting, but it's sort of like more like Garbage Pail Kids or something of that nature, where at the end of the day, right? It is a you can buy and sell and you can enter into transactions, but the reality is you can't. I don't think that investors can confidently have be able to say that that's a stable, long-term store value.
Dogecoin is that fake Mets player that was an April Fool's prank that I don't remember what his name was. There was like an April Fool's prank from like the 60s. Sid Finch. Right. And he wasn't real. So I guess maybe that's like the baseball card equivalent of Dogecoin. Mark Peiken is the CEO of Bespoke Growth Partners. Speaking for Bespoke Growth, speaking for SYSX, and speaking for TTM. So the combined company, the merger is complete, and it trades on the QX. Is that right?
It's trading on the QB.
QB, sorry.
At this point, right? And the way that the transaction is structured is that the combined financials will be filed in approximately 60 days. And we think, based on the merits, it could be reasonably expected that the company will eventually trade on a national exchange.
All right. Mark Peiken, thanks a lot for joining us today.
You appreciate your time.
All right. It is 1:33. We got about a half hour left in today's special edition of the Power Hour. I am Luke Jacoby. Hit the like button for me. I would appreciate that. I should say I'm the new Luke Jacoby. That's what I am. I'm Luke 2.0. That's what I am. I'm Luke 2.0. Smash the like for all these guests. If you want more special shows, you have ideas for a special, hit us up, right? shows@benzinga.com. You can also email luke@benzinga.com. Oh, this is my chance. Luke gives out my email all the time. So now the shoe's on the other foot, right? luke@benzinga.com. If you have ideas for other specials you want us to do, or just email shows@benzinga. That email goes to like a bunch of people here. Whether you want us to do whatever, crypto special, a gaming, esports, whatever kind of market you're interested in. It's funny, Tiny Pie Media. Whatever kind of market you're interested in, let us know. We will book it. We will book it. I'm bringing you guys live interviews right now. All right, 5 interviews in one show. Man, it's hard to focus. It's hard to focus with you guys. It really is. I got people laughing in my ear. I got the chat up on the screen, and it is hard. It's hard to focus. It's hard to like make sense of what I'm saying when I've got you people in my face and in my ear. But yeah, chat's very funny. No, I will not be showing you guys my live portfolio because I'm not insane like Luke and Jason. But I've shared with you before, not on this show, but I've shared on other shows, what my portfolio is, and I can bring it up in Benzinga Pro, so you can see if you really care. Here, I'll do this. I'll do this to appease the chat, and we'll do it for like 5 seconds. But I have a portfolio of ETFs. Hold on, let me get it up there. Where's my watch list? Here's my ETFs. Here, and I'll just add the couple of stocks that I own right now. I've gone through this before. I have a portfolio of ETFs and a handful of stocks. I've mentioned the stocks already that I own. And here, let me just zoom in and I'll share my screen so y'all can see exactly what I own here. And that way I'll get the chat off my back, and then we can move on to our final guest of the day. Where's my screen? There it is. All right, this is my portfolio. This is what I own, and this is in Benzinga Pro, obviously. So it's in watch list form. I forgot. I forgot Cresco. Okay, this is what I own. Right, you see most ETFs. Oh, and Starbucks. Stocks I own are Ford, Starbucks, Disney, and those cannabis stocks. The rest of it is just ETFs. As you can see, ARKW, VOO, and VEU together represent about 60% of my portfolio. Everything else is like 2% or less, right? So I got a lot of VOO, a lot of VEU. I'm diversified, as the kids say. I'm diversified. The rest of this stuff is all very small slices, right? I got a very small slice of ESPO, ARKW, SRVR, which I happen to like a lot. It's breaking out. Actually, I did sell the SPCX is on there, but I sold that guy. That one sucked. That one sucked. So here, just do a piece of chat. This is what I own. There you go. Up on the screen. No, I don't own any Dogecoin. I own a little bit of Bitcoin. And that's about it for my crypto exposure. Is I own Bitcoin and Bitcoin just on Coinbase. I don't own any Bitcoin assets like that. Okay, chat's happy. Jacob, dump ESPO and buy GMG. Well, maybe. I guess it depends on the outcome of this next conversation that I have with Brian Goodman. who actually is in the studio right now. He's in the background. I think I'll bring him on. This is the one I had no idea this was going to be the case. And he wasn't booked last intentionally, but or latest in the day intentionally. It was just what worked out for his schedule. But the chat's been clamoring. They've been all over this since the stream started today. They said, we want GMGI. We want Brian Goodman. We want Golden Matrix. So let's bring on Brian right now. Brian Goodman is the CEO of Golden Matrix Group, ticker GMGI on the pink market. Brian, thank you so much for joining me today. The chat has been all over me, clamoring for you. So you're here. You're here finally. I can get them off my back.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. And what did you say? You're keeping the best till last.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. Saving the best for last. In all seriousness, people have been spamming our chat saying, GMGI, where's GMGI? It's coming. They're coming. He's not here yet. All right. But he's here now. Brian, for the uninitiated. For the uninitiated.
Big fan club I have out there. Anyway, we don't have much time.
You do have a big fan club. Explain Golden Matrix for that one person in chat that doesn't know.
Okay. So I guess I'll try and cover a few things. We don't have much time. So in brief, I'm going to cover where we've been, where we're now, and where we're going. Personally, I have over 20 years of gaming experience. I'm one of the original online gaming operators, and we've successfully run B2C businesses as well as B2B operations globally. I took over Golden Matrix. It was a mining company. In 2016, it was, what would I say? It was laden with debt. It had toxic debt, convertible stuff, maybe $2.9 million worth of this debt. Within a few months, we cleared it out. Today, the company is profitable, it's cash positive, and it's a successful company. We're all about gaming. Initially, we began our focus in the Asia Pacific, and we've now started to expand globally. The business, obviously being an online gaming business, is highly scalable. Just roughly, we've just posted our annual results, so you're all welcome to go to the site. It's goldenmatrix.com, and you can look at the highlights there for yourself. A picture tells 1,000 words, I guess, but our revenues were up 59% compared to the previous 12 months. Our cash on hand is up 531%. Our total assets have improved by somewhere around 273%. I guess you're all asking what we do. We have technology that allows operators to obviously go online and run fully fledged gaming operations. Traditionally, we take land-based operators. We help them transition from the land-based environment to the online world. Obviously, with COVID times, this has been very attractive. And also in the US, in America, you will have obviously seen the legislation is moving at a rapid rate, and the whole world is moving towards online. And I guess that's what we do. We build scalable platforms, turnkey solutions we can build. And our revenues are based on royalties. So the normal sales pitch to an operator is we can build you an entire environment, we can help you launch it, we can help you run it, and teach you how to monetize it. And we'll do this all for no cost at all. All you need to do is show us that you have an ability ultimately to run this organization, this gaming entity, and we can help you get there. And the way we earn money is we get a percentage, a royalty from what they make. So if they're not successful, we don't make any money, but if they're successful, we get an ongoing royalty. And so therefore it's like an annuity. As they get stronger and bigger, we get more and more revenues. And right now we have over 400 unique operators. We have over 4 million players on our system that are supported. So it's a tried and tested system. We're a go-to system in Asia Pacific, and it's not a difficult sales pitch, but we need to be careful because we only take on people who we think have got a good chance of success. And that's pretty much what we've been doing, and we've been very successful at it. As mentioned, we're expanding our operations. We have our own gaming portfolio that's about to come to the US. It's a skill set of games, and it's a player-to-player game which allows people to bet against each other playing esports. So effectively you'd be paying Xbox or something along those lines. You would go online, look for somebody else who wants to play you, and place a bet against that person. It's we think it's going to be a very successful product in today's world. And so we have this portfolio that's being launched, and on top of that, we obviously we've told the market that we're going to be making some acquisitions. We have an application to move up to NASDAQ, which is pending. And these acquisitions that we're looking at are private companies, which will probably buy around 4 or 5 times multiple. Very important, obviously, 4 or 5 times multiple of profits. And then we'd flip them into our company. And obviously, as everybody knows, we would get somewhere around 20 or 30 times multiple, or hopefully flip it into 20 or 30 times multiple in our hands. All of these targeted acquisitions that we're looking at are profitable, cash positive, and accretive to our business.
I'm glad you mentioned.
There we have it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the chat, that's like the one question the chat has pretty much is like, can you give us a ballpark or a timeline of when that could be happening, the uplisting?
I wish I could, but we obviously can't. As everybody knows as well, that there's been a record number of SPACs coming to the market. It's I don't even know what the number was, but in the first few months of the year, there was a record number, and they just continue to come. The IPOs, and then there are people like us that are moving up. We qualify now under 2 criteria. Initially, we qualified in the net income standard, which is very unusual for companies these days. Most companies are burning money and losing money, and have gaming ideas that have no sense, make no sense. And ultimately, we believe we qualify in 2 scenarios. But like I say, we applied under the net income standard, and we easily qualify right now. So I can't really give you that answer, but I can tell you that we're hopeful that it'll be fairly soon.
Can you explain like what is behind the growth? So I think the number that I read was like 4 or 5 straight quarters of revenue growth. Can you explain what's driven that? What segment of your business is it, or all of them?
Yeah, so effectively, like I say, we actually have a wait list of operators wanting to go online. We build them the environment, we help them, and then we launch them. In the initial stages, maybe they start out as a smallish business, and they also grow over time. So as they grow, we grow. So as we get more operators online, we grow exponentially, because they're growing exponentially, and we benefit from what they make. So it's the business model that gives us that massive growth quarter on quarter in revenues, and as I just mentioned, and also it's a highly scalable business. So it's not as if we're a land-based operation. We get more premises, employ more people. These kind of systems scale up very quickly, and they don't cost much money to scale.
As far as I know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but do you have operations in the US? I know you're very active in Asia, but
no, we don't. Like, as I mentioned, we have a multi-pronged attack. Right now, we have a collaboration agreement with a licensed company, one of the largest in the world. It's called Playtech Limited. They are sort of the benchmark for gaming content. So we're about to move forward with them, and we built this this portfolio of skill games. And shortly after we launch that, we will apply for actual gaming licenses. And it's initially, I think our first license will be in New Jersey, and we'll move from them. But these games that I mentioned do not require a gaming license right now because they're skill games. They're esports skill games, people playing games against each other and wagering against each other.
New Jersey, my home state. We have the chart up of the stock up on the screen, and to the extent that you can comment, and I know you probably don't spend too much time watching the stock, or maybe you do. I don't know, but like, what do you make of the run that you've had? I mean, granted, we're coming off a year that was unlike any other, but it's sort of been a tremendous run already. And you're saying it's still early days.
Yeah, I think the gaming industry is early days. You can look at whatever else is being written. You don't need to take my word for it. But gaming is a huge category, and it'll continue to grow. And it's I can give an analogy, I guess. It's like a retail store that doesn't have an online presence. You're pretty much a dinosaur, and you won't be in business in the next few years unless you have an online presence. And so we fill that gap. We help people to launch online, and so we confident, obviously, that we'll continue this progress. I wouldn't call it a run, but we've delivered on everything we've set out to deliver. We've delivered, and that's why the stock is so strong, and we have such a lot of huge support. Most people that have been following us have stuck with us, and we joke about a fan club, but we have a fairly large supporter base, and they continue to support us.
Now, at the risk of inciting a mob in our chat, I just want to ask you, like, the other side of that coin is what would have to happen or not happen for the bear case here? I mean, what is the bear case, and what would have to happen for the bull case to not happen?
I actually, there are a lot of risk factors that could affect our bottom line. Maybe some currency, exchange issues, any type of legislation. But at the end of the day, you'd have to go through and read our reports as to these risk factors. But we're confident. I mean, you can go out there and see. And like I said, there are hundreds of these gaming companies that claim they're going to send people to Mars and the moon and set records. But we don't come from that world. We're a real gaming operator. We generate real revenues, and we've shown people that we're here to create or generate profits and revenues and cash positive. And we're cash positive. We don't. We're not a cash burner, and so much more than that I can't really tell you.
All right, I'm going to go to the chat here and let the chat run with this until we let Brian go. A couple questions from chat. Will esport? Let's see. Wait, let me go through here. Tell us about the new board, and I guess what you're excited about there. That's from I don't know who that's from, but somebody asked that in the chat.
The board members.
Yeah.
So I guess we initially I was the principal financial officer, and so we sort of growing up as a company, moving to NASDAQ, we've had to appoint a majority of independent board members, and so we have a fairly experienced board. If you look at their profiles also on our website, you'll see where they come with years of corporate experience in accounting as well as in legal matters, and we have a person who's one of the most, I guess, one of the most respected gaming people in the world as well, maybe 30 years of experience, called Aaron Johnson, and he'll bring, I guess, relationships and acquisition targets for us. And we've recently appointed a CFO who also comes with large amount of experience and also take a lot of, I guess, weight of what I have to do, and I can focus on the business rather than the SEC filings. If that's
that's always ideal, I think. So you filed for this this U.S. mini IPO, and then we talked about the uplist already. The proceeds of that, how would that be used?
Like I say, I mean, it's we have some targeted acquisitions, some smaller targets, and whilst we don't actually need the money, we've got a fairly large amount of money on our cash money on our balance sheet, and we continue to generate money. But it was an opportunity to raise a little bit more money so that we could be in a position to not only buy one of these targeted acquisitions, but maybe more.
And then last question here, I'm going to ask this. This is from Mitch Mandel. Brian, where do you anticipate the greatest growth coming from? I guess I sort of already asked that, but maybe Mitch means like business segment or maybe market. You can interpret that how you will.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure if he's referring to us in particular or just the market as such, but obviously the market is going to grow at a massive rate. But our focus is on developing markets mainly. We're a company that helps smaller operators go online, and we would look to Latin America, Africa, developing markets, as well as the US, where there would be smaller operators going online. We don't really focus on the big end of town, but we specialize in helping people understand the online world and giving them the tools to operate online. And so that's pretty much where our growth will come from, organic growth, but most of our growth is going to come from acquisition, because we're going to roll up other profitable companies that are accretive to our business.
Okay, this is the last question. I guess I'm going to have to ask this so everybody interview going forward. But will you allow crypto?
It's a bit of a minefield. I mean, we do help our operators, and it's not as if we are the ones that are accepting the crypto. We only provide the systems. They could use whatever they wanted, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard. It's up to them to get the licenses and the contracts to use that. We're quite capable of providing crypto. So we have crypto systems that we can provide right now. I think we may support one operator with crypto, but I assume that in time to come, it's going to be much more popular, and we'll continue to support it.
All right, you can see his name up on the screen. Brian Goodman is the CEO of Golden Matrix Group, GMGI, uplist in progress, TBD. We'll find out when. Brian, it's been a pleasure to chat with you.
Well, thanks you, and thanks for all your time and all your support to everybody, and continue following us.
All right, thanks a lot. Guys, smash the like for Brian Goodman, for Golden Matrix Group, for GMGI. We appreciate him stopping by. I had no idea there was such a passionate fan base for that company and that stock, but there is. And look, I saw someone just asked, Richie just asked about the uplist, when that is. I asked him, man, rewind the tape back 10 minutes. They don't know. They're at the mercy of NASDAQ. They don't know. So I assume when they know, they will tell us. They will file a press release, SEC filing. They will announce it, and then we'll all know together. But until then, and even if he does know, maybe he just couldn't say. I don't know. That was fun though. That was good. But let's give Brett an air horn. That was good. All right, guys, that was the last interview of the day on Power Hour. This is the end of the OTC special. If you're just joining us, you missed 5 great interviews today. We had Brian Goodman from Golden Matrix. We had Mark Peiken from Bespoke Growth Partners. We had Jay Hutton from VSBLTY, Frank Holmes from Hive Blockchain, and Bruce Linton from Red Light Holland. So rewind if you missed it, smash the like for those guys. If you just joining and you're like, what happened to Luke? Where's Jason? The answer is they are both locked in my basement and we'll be there until I say so. So, okay. Biotech Buzz is coming up next. We had no Biotech Buzz last week with Vivi, but she is back from vacation and she's so excited. She's like, I know I usually come on at 2:30, but today I want to come on at 2 because I'm super hyped. I got a lot to get to. So Biotech Buzz is going to be up next. This stream will end and it'll just redirect straight to that as long as the producers didn't screw that one up. Producer Rohan, producer AB, looking at you. But assuming they didn't screw it up, then the redirect will work straight from this to Biotech Buzz. So check that out. And if you enjoyed, producer AB is here. What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's all set. Just wanted to say, I thought you did a great job. Those were some great interviews. And I think
everyone in the chat wants me to buy GMGI. I'm just all about Dow. I'm all about the Dow right now.
Wait, look at this real quick though. Apple's down 420. I've never seen Apple get crushed this hard in a day, I don't think. Besides like a couple months ago when all tech was getting crushed. But
maybe that hearing ain't going so well. Maybe
the hearing
the hearing with Riot maybe ain't going so well. I don't know.
Oh my Lanta.
Wait, real quick. Wait, check like Amazon, check the Qs. Because I'm not in front of like my charts right now. So like how is Apple doing compared to those guys today? Is it better or worse?
A little worse, but Amazon's down 3% too.
Okay,
let's just go straight to QQQ.
So it's not just Apple. Okay, and look at the Qs, and then also while you're after that, look at ARKW or ARKK, which is like here. I'll do it on.
We were looking at you want ARKK or ARKW?
Yeah, ARKK is the flagship. So that's down 4%. Man, tech is getting smashed. Tech is getting smashed. I hope you all diversified.
Are we seeing back? Let's check some oil. Let's check some. Let's check Gush.
Wait, what are you in right now? Oh, there we go. You're looking at Gush. Yeah,
Gush. I mean, it's not up, but it's doing better than tech.
I hope you all own some other things, not just tech stocks, because you're getting smacked in the face today. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. Smash the like. We're not even at 100 or not. We're not even at 200 likes. Let's get to 200 likes before I'm done talking. All right. Benzinga pro.benzinga.com. Enter the code YouTube20 to get 20% off your subscription. Please, guys, subscribe. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you love us, if you hate us, you can also tell us that. I won't be offended.
I want to know too. Email shows@benzinga.com. If you loved, if you hated this special edition of Power Hour, like Spencer mentioned, we might be doing some more special editions. We might never do another one again.
We might not. This might be the first and last.
It might be a one and done thing. So if you tuned in, then great, you were part of history. If not, then let us know what you think, and we'll take that feedback seriously. So.
No, in all seriousness, we do take feedback to heart. If you email us, we will respond and we will hear it. That's a fact.
100%.
So, okay.
All right.
Are they ready?
That's a great question.
If not, we're gonna end anyway because screw them. I'm hot.
Give me. Yeah,
these lights are really hot.
They are not live yet. It does not look like. So you know what? I'll let you go. I'll let you take a break. I'm gonna keep going through a couple more tickers on this.
No, I'll hang with you. Right,
I was looking at Boeing because it's like, what if tech's getting crushed? What are some of these like value play? What's like a classic value play? Walmart. Even Walmart's.
No, Walmart's got a pretty high P. Classic value play would be like utilities, like if you're going like low P, like XLU. Go to like XLI for industrials. Look at steel stocks.
I mean, XLU's down almost a full % today too. Maybe we're just seeing some general. Maybe everyone's just selling to get into Dogecoin before.
Wait. Andrew P says, "So buy me a bottle of Johnny Blue if I ever meet him in Vegas." Okay, Andrew P, I will take you up on that offer. Next time I go to Vegas, which may very well be.
Speaking of Vegas, let's check Wynn Casinos or Wynn Resorts. That's down 3.5%.
Now look, Globetrotter hears me. He's looking at U.S. Steel at 5% today. So, I would go to industrials, maybe go to the. I have not looked, so I don't know, but maybe go to the banks. I have no idea what the banks are doing today. Utilities, materials.
Oh, Bank of America is doing well. Let's go to Citigroup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Money doesn't leave; it just rotates. It just moves around. So
the cyclical nature of markets. Wait, this person's name is Jake Luco. I didn't know if that was like someone trying to make a joke of. Like,
no, I also
name.
thought that Jake Lucobi. Jake Lucobi, are you real? Jake Lucobi.
That's got to be like someone just making fun of. What would Luke's name?
I don't think Jake Lucobi is real. I wish he was.
Juke Lucobi.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Wait, what else? I'm gonna go into my movers tool just to see what's up and what's down. Yeah, tech is getting pretty smashed. Hey, you guys saw my portfolio. I own some tech. I own ARKW. I own ESPO.
Oh, Caterpillar's doing well. Oh, what about this?
I said industrials. You don't listen.
Kansas City Southern, the railroad. Ooh,
dude, my watch list is literally all red today. Or not my watch list, my portfolio.
My portfolio is all red today.
All red. And I've got, some pretty basic stuff. I got VOO, I got VOO. I'm down across the board. Cannabis stocks, which have been on a bit of a run, are all getting smacked around. I own KWeb, that's down today. ESPO is down. UFO, the space ETF, that one's down.
So wait, Spencer, you're the ETF guy. Is there a railroad ETF? I'm sure there is, but off the top of your head, do you know?
Not a railroad specifically. There is an ETF that has the largest holdings are the railroads. I don't believe.
Oh, rail. That's
not.
Oh
no.
Right. Okay. Well, it's over. Oh, it's got rails down 10% today. What is that? That's like a SPAC or something. It looks like.
You could go to what's the transports? What's that? Is it IYT?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. IYT. I think there's a pretty decent portion of that in the railroads, but there's no railroad specific ETF.
Good to know. Let's see what's going on with biotech. Are they still not? Nope. Nothing.
Producer Rohan is maybe fired. TBD. I don't know. But in any case, this stream was set to redirect, so I'm not really worried about it. So I'm gonna hop. Producer AB, you've been very helpful, except for when you haven't been, but that's okay. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me for the past 2 hours and change. Appreciate that. I will see you back on the stream in an hour for the At the Close show, but I gotta drink some water.
Yep.
Prepare.
That's a long episode.
And
Great
job,
though.
And I want to sit down. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop. Producer AB, are you gonna end the stream or are you gonna just keep going?
Yeah, I think let's end it and let's direct them to biotech and
200 likes. Let's get there.
Vivi will be there.
Let's get there. Oh, and also PSA, we are preparing a special show for when we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I will not disclose those details yet, but they're in progress.
All right, y'all. Well, like I said, thank you for joining us for our first special edition of Power Hour. Might do more.
And maybe last, who knows? I don't know.
We shall see. All right.
Just threw that hat.